Godzilla vs. Superman, the ultimate showdown. Hey there, superhero aficionados and kaiju enthusiasts. Welcome back to the channel, where we dive deep into the most epic what-if battles of all time. Today, we're tackling a colossal question. What would happen if the Man of Steel faced off against the King of the Monsters? That's right, it's Superman versus Godzilla. Buckle up, because this is going to be a wild ride, filled with twists, turns, and titanic clashes. Our story begins with a breathtaking panoramic view of Metropolis at dusk. The city's skyline is a gleaming forest of skyscrapers, their windows reflecting the fiery hues of the setting sun. It's a typical evening. People are leaving work, grabbing dinner, and the Daily Planet's globe spins lazily atop its building. But beneath this veneer of normalcy, something stirs. In the background, news broadcasts chatter about unexplained seismic activities near the Pacific Rim. Scientists report that Richter scales have been off the charts, registering magnitudes upwards of 9.0. Tsunami-genic events are predicted, but no one's certain what's causing them. Still, the citizens of Metropolis are blissfully unaware, going about their routines. Little do they know, a storm is brewing that's unlike any they've ever seen. The Awakening. Cut to the depths of the Pacific Ocean, a place so remote and dark, sunlight hasn't touched it in eons. Deep-sea cameras, part of an international oceanic monitoring network, flicker and fuzz out. Static fills the screens. Suddenly, a massive tremor shakes the ocean floor. The camera feed briefly restores to show a titanic eye snapping open, its pupil constricting in the artificial light. It's Godzilla. As he stirs, tectonic plates shift, causing massive undersea earthquakes. The displacement of water generates tsunamis that begin racing toward the nearest coastlines at speeds exceeding 500 miles per hour. Coastal warning systems blare, but is there enough time to react? Scientists scramble to analyze the data, but one thing's clear. Something ancient and immensely powerful has awakened. Introduction of the hero. Back in Metropolis, at the bustling newsroom of the Daily Planet, Clark Kent is typing up a story on local politics. But then, his super hearing picks up the distant sound of distress signals and panicked radio chatter from the Pacific. His brow furrows. Lois Lane notices his sudden distraction. "Everything okay, Clark?" she asks. Yeah. Just thought I heard something," he replies, adjusting his glasses nervously. Jimmy Olsen pipes up. "Hey, CK, you look like you've seen a ghost." Clark forces a smile. "Just remembered I left the stove on at home." Classic excuse. He knows he needs to investigate. Making a quick exit, he heads to a secluded alley. With a quick glance around, he rips open his shirt to reveal the iconic S-shield beneath. It's go time. The monster approaches. As Superman rockets westward at hypersonic speeds, approximately Mach 10, mind you, the situation escalates. Over the Pacific Ocean, Navy fleets have been deployed. Destroyers, aircraft carriers, fighter jets, the whole shebang. The USS Argus locks onto a massive blip on the radar. "Captain, the object is approximately 120 meters tall and closing in fast," an ensign shouts. That's nearly 400 feet for those counting. Godzilla emerges, towering over the mightiest of ships. His mass is estimated at 90,000 metric tons. The Navy opens fire, all weapons unleashed. Missiles, torpedoes, railguns, the works. But it's like throwing pebbles at a tank. Godzilla barely notices as he pushes forward, his scales deflecting attacks designed to sink battleships. He lets out a roar measured at 174 decibels. The shockwave overturns nearby vessels. He's heading straight for Metropolis. Evacuation and panic. Emergency alerts flash across Metropolis. This is a citywide evacuation order. Proceed to the nearest shelter or evacuate immediately. The authorities initiate protocols last used during the Doomsday incident. Streets become rivers of people, traffic snarls as everyone tries to flee at once. Helicopters buzz overhead, broadcasting live footage of the impending threat. Lois Lane grabs her press pass and a recorder. "Jimmy, get your camera. We're covering this from the ground," she says with determined eyes. "Are you nuts? That thing leveled Tokyo back in '54. Jimmy exclaims. "Exactly why we need to be there. The people need the truth." Lois isn't one to back down from a story, and this might be the biggest one of her career. Superman takes flight. Superman surveys the evacuating city from above. His enhanced vision takes in every detail. The fear on people's faces, the gridlocked streets, the overburdened emergency services. He swoops down to assist, lifting stalled vehicles and clearing paths for ambulances. He even uses his freeze breath to extinguish fires caused by the mass panic. But amidst the chaos, his thoughts race. What could cause such widespread fear? What am I dealing with? His super senses detect a massive entity approaching. Ultrasonic frequencies, electromagnetic disturbances, signatures he's never encountered before. This is something new, he thinks, and it's big. Confrontation begins. Deciding to confront the threat head-on, Superman flies out over the Atlantic at velocities surpassing escape velocity, over 11 kilometers per second. He spots Godzilla, and the sight is awe-inspiring. The creature is colossal, dwarfing even the largest structures Superman has encountered. Hovering in front of Godzilla, Superman raises a hand. "Stop right there," he commands, his voice amplified to be heard over the roaring winds and crashing waves. But Godzilla, driven by instincts and perhaps something more, doesn't respond to verbal cues. Superman attempts telepathic communication, a technique taught to him by Martian Manhunter, but it's no use. This creature's mind is a fortress. Clash of Titans. Without warning, Godzilla's dorsal plates begin to glow an ominous blue, a telltale sign of his atomic breath. Energy levels spiking, Superman notes, his X-ray vision confirming a massive buildup of nuclear energy. Before he can react, Godzilla unleashes a beam of concentrated radiation at temperatures exceeding 500,000 degrees Celsius. The beam strikes Superman, who barely manages to cross his arms in defense. He's propelled backward, the force equal to a nuclear detonation. He crashes into the ocean, creating a massive crater in the water. Recovering quickly, he realizes that brute strength won't be enough. This is no ordinary adversary, he thinks. Time to turn up the heat. Battle moves to the city. Superman tries to create a water spout to contain Godzilla, flying in tight circles at supersonic speeds. But Godzilla's sheer mass makes it ineffective. Pushing past Superman, Godzilla steps onto land. Each footstep registers as a seismic event, a magnitude 4.0 earthquake. Buildings tremble and glass shatters miles away due to the vibrations. Superman uses his heat vision, focusing beams hotter than the sun's surface, that's over 5,500 degrees Celsius, on Godzilla's joints. But Godzilla's regenerative abilities kick in almost instantaneously. His healing factor rivals even mine, Superman muses. The city begins to suffer significant structural damage. Time is running out. Superman overwhelmed. Attempting a more direct approach, Superman flies at Godzilla with full force. The impact is monumental, equivalent to a meteor strike, but Godzilla barely budges. In retaliation, Godzilla swings his massive tail, coated with sharp dorsal plates. The tail connects with Superman at Mach speeds. The kinetic energy is astronomical. Superman is sent hurtling through several skyscrapers, each collapse adding to the city's mounting damage. For perhaps the first time since his encounter with Doomsday, Superman feels genuinely rattled. He's tapping into power levels I've rarely encountered, he thinks, rubbing his jaw. On the streets below, civilians watch in horror as their invincible hero struggles against this primordial force. Regrouping. Realizing he needs a new strategy, Superman retreats to a high-altitude exosphere orbit about 700 kilometers above Earth to catch his breath and think. He contacts Batman via secure Justice League comms. "Bruce, I need intel on a creature capable of emitting nuclear energy and standing over 100 meters tall." In the Batcave, surrounded by his vast databases, Batman pulls up files from Monarch, a secretive agency dealing with massive unidentified terrestrial organisms. MUDOs, for short. "Clark, you're dealing with Godzilla, a creature from the Permian period, awakened and mutated by nuclear radiation," Batman explains. "He's a force of nature, a walking natural disaster." Superman absorbs the information at super speed. Weaknesses, he asks. Limited agility due to size and vulnerability to oxygen-destroying agents. But that's dangerous to all life forms, Batman warns. You'll need to find another way. Perhaps overload his healing factor? Understanding the enemy. With newfound knowledge, Superman formulates a plan. He recalls that Godzilla's plates act as heat sinks to dissipate energy when overloaded. If I can exceed his energy absorption capacity, I might be able to incapacitate him, he theorizes. The key is to deliver a concentrated energy burst greater than Godzilla can handle. He also considers leading Godzilla away from Metropolis to minimize casualties. If I can get him to the Badlands, the collateral damage would be significantly less. he thinks. The area is vast, uninhabited, and geologically stable, a perfect battleground. Seeking assistance. Superman attempts to reach out to other Justice League members. Diana, are you available? He calls. Wonder Woman responds, I'm tied up with a situation involving Ares. It's global. Aquaman chimes in, Atlantis is experiencing unprecedented seismic activities. I suspect it's related to your big friend. Looks like I'll have to handle this solo, Superman says. Be careful, Batman warns. Godzilla is more than just an animal, he's a balance keeper. Superman nods. I have a responsibility to protect humanity, whatever it takes. The showdown begins. Superman returns to Earth, flying at speeds approaching 99% of the speed of light. Thanks to a little thing called relativistic time dilation, he has more time to think. He zips around Godzilla, creating sonic booms to get his attention. Hey, big guy, come and get me, he taunts. Godzilla, sensing the challenge, follows him away from the city. They arrive at the Badlands, a landscape of canyons and rock formations. Here, Superman unleashes a new strategy. He uses his heat vision to superheat the ground beneath Godzilla, turning sand into glass and causing footing instability. At the same time, he utilizes his frost breath to cool Godzilla's dorsal plates rapidly, attempting to induce thermal shock. Godzilla's fury. But Godzilla adapts quickly. He releases a nuclear pulse, a shockwave of radioactive energy emanating from his body. This EMP-like blast disrupts electronics globally, causing satellites to malfunction. Even Superman feels the impact, his cells momentarily overwhelmed by the radiation. He's pushing out over 2,000 rads per second, Superman realizes. That's enough to be lethal to most life forms. The battlefield becomes a hellscape. Rock formations crumble, and the air becomes thick with radioactive particles. Both Titans are pushed to their limits. The tension is palpable. He's not slowing down, Superman thinks. I need to end this now. Turning the tide. Drawing upon his last reserves, Superman decides to harness solar energy directly. He soars into space, positioning himself between Earth and the Sun. He absorbs a massive influx of solar radiation, his cells operating at maximum capacity. This has to work, he tells himself. Returning to Earth at trans-relativistic speeds, he creates a sonic boom that rattles the planet. He impacts Godzilla with a force equivalent to a small asteroid, roughly 10 through 18 joules of energy. Godzilla staggers for the first time. Seizing the moment, Superman directs focused heat vision into Godzilla's open mouth as he charges another atomic breath. Let's see how you handle this, he yells. Decisive moment. Godzilla and Superman prepare their ultimate attacks. Godzilla's atomic breath reaches a new intensity, turning from blue to fiery red, a sign of maximum output. Superman channels all his absorbed solar energy into a condensed beam of heat vision, temperatures exceeding those at the core of the sun, over 15 million degrees Celsius. The two beams collide in a colossal explosion. The energy release is akin to a supernova, briefly outshining the sun. Observatories worldwide detect the burst, and it's visible from the International Space Station. The ground shakes, fissures open, and the very air ignites. It's an apocalyptic scene, but it's the only way. The aftermath. As the blinding light fades, a massive crater is all that remains. Superman hovers above it, battered and exhausted, his suit torn, but alive. Godzilla lies at the bottom, motionless. But then he stirs. With a laborious effort, he rises. The two lock eyes once more. This time, there's a mutual understanding. Godzilla emits a low rumble, a sign of acknowledgement, perhaps even respect. He turns slowly and makes his way back toward the ocean. Superman watches as the giant disappears beneath the waves. He's returning to where he belongs, Superman thinks. Maybe we aren't so different after all. City in recovery. Back in Metropolis, the aftermath is daunting. Damage estimates run into the tens of billions, but the spirit of the city remains unbroken. Volunteers take to the streets, helping clear debris and support relief efforts. Superman assists by reconstructing critical infrastructure at super speed. Media outlets broadcast stories not just of destruction, but of heroism, people helping people. In the face of unprecedented disaster, humanity stands tall, one reporter states. Superman gives a brief statement. Together, we can rebuild and come back stronger. His words inspire hope and unity. Reflection. Later, atop the Daily Planet, Clark and Lois share a quiet moment. You took quite a beating, she says softly. Comes with the cape, he replies with a half smile. They discuss the broader implications. If beings like Godzilla exist, what else is out there? Lois muses. We've peered into the abyss, and it stared back, Clark responds. We need to be prepared, Lois says. Agreed, but we also need to understand, Clark adds. Not every threat is evil. Some are just forces of nature. They contemplate the balance between vigilance and empathy. The world has changed, and so must they. Teaser for future conflicts. In a post-credits scene, we delve beneath the ocean's surface. Godzilla rests in an underwater cavern, his wounds healing rapidly thanks to his incredible regenerative abilities. Around him, bioluminescent creatures swim, illuminating the dark waters. His eyes open, alert and aware. He's alive and well. Elsewhere, deep in space, a meteor composed of kryptonite hurtles toward Earth at astronomical speeds, over 70 kilometers per second. Observatories fail to detect it due to its unique radiation signature. Back on Earth, Superman feels a slight weakness, a foreboding sensation. Something's coming, he says to himself. Guess the universe isn't done with us yet, he remarks, gazing into the night sky littered with stars and possibilities. The stage is set for the next chapter. A universe of infinite challenges and adventures awaits. End credits. As the story concludes, we transition to an end credit montage, a series of comic-style illustrations that capture the key moments. The art is intricate, filled with Easter eggs for the eagle-eyed fans. A torn piece of Godzilla's dorsal plate, a headline reading LexCorp offers aid, and a shadowy figure observing the battle from afar, perhaps hinting at future adversaries. An epic orchestral soundtrack swells, a blend of Godzilla's iconic themes and Superman's heroic motifs. The music slowly fades, leaving us with a final shot of the Earth from space, reminding us of the delicate balance our heroes strive to protect. And that's a wrap, folks. What an epic journey through the realms of comic book lore and cinematic spectacle. Wasn't that wild? From the depths of the ocean to the edges of space, we explored what happens when unstoppable forces meet immovable objects. So what do you think? Could Superman truly stand toe-to-toe with Godzilla? Or does the King of the Monsters reign supreme? Drop your thoughts, theories, and fan fiction ideas in the comments below. Let's get the debate going. If you enjoyed this deep dive, and let's be real, how could you not? Smash that like button, share it with your fellow geeks, and don't forget to subscribe for more epic content. Until next time, stay curious and keep imagining the impossible. Peace out.